Alright guys, in this video I want to talk to you guys about acronyms associated with Amazon and business. I've been getting this question a lot frequently, people asking what certain acronyms mean, what certain terminology mean, so on and so forth. So I thought that it would be advantageous to make this video to show you guys some of the most frequently used terms and acronyms. That way you can fully understand what they mean. Before we dive right in, if this is your first time on the channel, please do me a favor and subscribe. Next to the subscribe button, you are going to see a little bell. Click the bell for the notifications. That way you can be alerted every time I make a new video and you can be first to market, first to dollar. Alright guys, welcome back. We're going to dive right into acronyms associated with Amazon and business. I'm going to show you the definition. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about each and every one. Now, I tried to get every single acronym that is within Amazon, or acronyms that manufacturers are going to be using when you're contacting suppliers and dealing with logistics and all that good stuff. So if I happen to miss one or two of them, make sure you leave it in the comments below or message me, and I will do my best to explain that or add that. Also, by the way, if you are in the course, this is going to be going to the syllabus. I'm going to be adding kind of like a dictionary in the syllabus where you will have access to this as well. Number one, I brought this into categories. The first category is sales and advertising acronyms, and the second is going to be logistics and shipping. So let's start with the first one. PPC, better known as pay-per-click. So what PPC is, it's pretty self-explanatory, pay-per-click. What this is in any system, whether it be Amazon or it be Google or any platform that you're using, you're basically paying for visibility. And with the pay-per-click, whether you pay per impression, per view, or you pay per click when somebody clicks on your item or your product, etc. So you see this term gets used a lot, so you definitely want to familiarize yourself with this term and know what it means. Moving on to BSR. Okay, BSR stands for the best seller rank. This is that number that can vary from number 1 all the way up to several hundred thousand, depending in the category or niche that you are in. All right, so the larger the category, the larger the niche, the higher the BSR ranking is going to be. Now, the closest you are to 1 on the BSR, the better ranked your product is, the more predominant your product is going to be displayed in the organic search results, meaning the non-paid search results. Okay? ASIN. You're going to see this a lot. ASIN stands for Amazon Standard Identification Number. That is the unique number that you have identified, the identifier to each product. Each individual product has its own ASIN. No matter, even if it's a variation or a variable, it all has its own ASIN, and this is super important because it's kind of the identity of the product. Moving on to ACOS percentage. I get this asked a lot. So the ACOS percentage means the average cost of sale. Now you see this more frequently when dealing with PPC or within advertising. And the average cost of sale percentage is going to show you the amount of percentage of sales that you are getting through that advertising platform or through that advertising section. All right, FBA. That's an obvious one, but I get asked it every once in a while. FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon. MF stands for Merchant Fulfilled. Now, even though I don't recommend doing merchant fulfilled products, some people do. So you will see that in forums, discussions, etc. So I thought that it'd be good for you to know. FBM is fulfilled by merchant. PL is private label. That's what I do and that's what I teach about. Private label, you'll see below private label, white label. Okay, so the difference between the two is if you were to drop ship, so if you were to find a supplier on Alibaba and have them drop ship to your Shopify store, they're not going to make exclusive brand products for you. They're not going to make a new injection mold. They're not going to put stickers or embroidery or anything that distinguishes your brand on that product. However, they will not advertise or have their manufacturer name or their brand name on the product, thus the name white label. So what differentiates white label from private label is your brand name physically being on the product. So for instance, if you have, let's just say this bottle of water right here, okay? This is a private label. This is a perfect example of private label. You see the Ice Mountain on there, okay? Now if I contact the supplier and I want to drop ship this product, or let's just say I want to do a trial run, a test run on Amazon, just to gain barrier to entry and proof of concept, I'm going to white label that, okay? Now it went from being a private label brand, which was Ice Mountain, to a white label brand. You don't see the manufacturer's information. You don't see any brand on here, all right? So that's the difference between white label and private label. And I get asked that a lot. Well, you know, I want a private label, but my manufacturer wants $700 more for an injection or for a new mold. Or they want $300 extra for stickers. Or they want 50 cents extra per unit for a print. Can I do it without the private label just to make sure that I gain the barrier to entry and I become profitable? Yes, you can start private labeling, or you can start the PL process through white label. You're going to do your branding and start with your brand recognition through optimizing your listing. So you're going to have your brand predominantly underneath your title, as well as in your description and your pictures. You're going to have a watermark in your pictures, and that is going to show and advertise that you are a brand. Once you gain profitability and you gain barrier to entry, on the next initial run, maybe where you increase your MOQ or minimum order quantity, you can then start with a new mold or a sticker or embroider or whatever is feasible for your product. All right, moving on to RA, retail arbitrage. Below retail arbitrage, you'll see OA, which is online arbitrage. I'll kind of knock both of these out together. So arbitrage in general is when you take something and you resell it, a brand name and you resell it. So retail arbitrage, for an example, would be you going to the Goodwill and finding a brand name shirt and reselling it on eBay, or you going to Walmart and buying a clearance toy and then sending it to Amazon and selling it on Amazon. Online arbitrage is where you source the products directly online and send them directly online to Amazon, and you sell them directly on the platform. That's online arbitrage. So I don't do arbitrage. I don't really talk too much about arbitrage, but a lot of people do arbitrage, especially when starting out. It's not as sustainable as private labeling, but you know, when I started out and I didn't have the months, it's really good for you in the starting stage as being the bottom step. So you know, you got to look at success like, you know, a ladder or steps. You can't jump from the floor to the top step. You have to go in sequence. You have to go, you know, take one step at a time. So for a lot of people that don't have a stable job, or they don't have capital saved, or they don't have a line of credit with a financial institution, retail arbitrage or online arbitrage has helped a lot of my students and a lot of people in this industry gain the necessary amount of capital to start their first product or maybe acquire Jungle Scout, so on and so forth. So I wanted to have that in there just to, you know, just to hit on that subject really quick. Next is DS, drop shipping. You know, you might see this here and there, but mainly there is really no drop shipping available on Amazon. That's more eBay and even more on e-com, like we talked about earlier, where you get the white label product from China. You have them drop ship it directly to the customer that purchases from your Shopify store. That would be an example of drop shipping. And you make purchases, you purchase the product when the consumer purchases it from you. That way you hold no inventory. You know, you really don't have to deal with logistics, anything like that. You just drive the traffic to a platform. When the customer or the consumer purchases, the manufacturer ships directly to the consumer, and it has your receivable information on there. Okay, so that's what drop shipping is. Now, ROI, better known as return on investment. Now, even though you may not see this predominantly throughout the platform and throughout different forums, it is very important that you know what ROI is. in any business that you are in, whether it be Amazon or anything that you're doing. ROI stands for return on investment. Okay, and you'll see I have an example right here. Let me highlight it. Oh, crap. That's not working. There we go. Let me make sure you guys on Instagram can see it. All right, we're good. An example, if your all-in cost of product is $10 and you receive in total $15 after the sale, your ROI or return on investment is 50%. Okay? Next, you're going to see PM, which stands for profit margin. I also have an example. Now, even though your profit margin and your ROI seem similar, they are different, because your return on investment is the total amount after advertising, after any cost that goes in it, and your profit margin is the margin on your product prior to receiving all the proceeds. Okay, so an example of product, is a product costs $3 to make and it sells for $10. Your profit margin is 70%. Now you're still going to have fees, and you're still going to have other variables that go into that, which in result is going to give you your ROI, which is the end result. All right, that's the bacon you take home. Now MSRP stands for manufacturer's suggested retail price. You'll see this in Amazon. You'll see this in a lot of different stores. Okay, and they use this for a psychological aspect. 90% of the times you'll see an MSRP or a suggested MSRP, and then you'll see the price lower. Now what this does is your mind is going to trigger to itself, okay, this product is worth this value because it has this MSRP. So when you see that crossed out and you see a lower price, maybe an exact price, you'll see, for instance, Walmart, Costco. These are some big Fortune 500 companies that use this psychological tactic. Is you'll see an MSRP or suggested MSRP of $39.99, then you'll see it crossed out and you'll see an exact price of what? $29.97. $29.47, usually ending in a 7, not a 9, because when a price point ends in a 9, your mind rounds it up to the nearest tenth. Now your mind perceives that as a whole number. So the way that the psychological aspect behind it is, if it ends in a 7, or a 4, okay, that's before a whole number, and you're not going to round that up to the nearest tenth. So when your mind sees an exact number, you're more than likely to value it at that. And that's why these Fortune 500 companies, Macy's, Carson's, Walmart, Costco, all these Fortune 500 companies do this. There is a lot of psychology behind it. And I talk about that a lot more in depth in a couple other videos and in the course. But study a little bit about that, because it would definitely be advantageous, especially if you're in sales. And if you're watching this, you're probably in sales currently or plan on being in sales of some sort. All right? So last on the page is VA, which stands for virtual assistant. A virtual assistant is basically an employee that is not in front of you, an employee that's rather overseas or in a different country or in a different state that works for you over the internet or over the computer. Okay? And we talk a lot about utilizing virtual assistants to sustain the growth, as well as help the growth of your business in the course, as well as in a couple of the YouTube videos. It is very advantageous once you get to the point to work for your business, work for your business, not in your business. Okay, you have to figure out how much you're worth, how much you're making, and then start to take hats off and then disperse them to other VAs, where something that might have taken you 2 or 3 hours, where you could have utilized that on product research or product optimization or listing optimization or keyword optimization or keyword research, you could have the hat dispersed to a virtual assistant for $5 an hour or for $20, and they can take care of this. So that's the beautiful thing about Amazon. It's a very sustainable business model with private label. You can grow at your own pace, at your own comfort level, and then you can disperse different jobs to virtual assistants. Okay, Amazon works 24/7, 365, and there's VAs in different parts of the country that they're working for you while you're sleeping. All right, so that's called leverage. That's something you want to do. Is you want to utilize the VAs for leverage to help sustain and to help grow your business. All right, so let's move on to the third section. And everybody on Instagram, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to ignore you. I'm currently recording live on YouTube as well. So once we wrap this up on YouTube, I'll go back on Instagram and I'll answer all or any questions that you guys have. Thank you for being patient, and thank each and every one of you for joining. Okay, so number 3, shipping and logistics acronyms. So I tried to break these into 2 parts where they're relevant. All right, this is the bulk of the questions, because when people start contacting suppliers or manufacturers, they start dropping these acronyms, and a lot of people don't know what they are. And what that happens is that makes you uncomfortable, and it makes fear starts to arise because you don't understand what's going on. So I want to make sure that I hit on all these. These are some of the most frequently used acronyms when dealing with manufacturers, be it overseas or stateside. Okay, and if you guys need to, pause this, screenshot it, come back and watch it, save it, whatever you do. I'll be uploading this to the syllabus in the course as well, so all of you guys who are in the course will have access to this. So let's dive right into it. DDP. DDP stands for Delivered Duty Paid. A transaction where the seller pays for the total cost associated with transporting goods and is fully responsible for the goods until they are received and transferred to the buyer. Okay? And it's really important that you take the time to really read these and resonate with these. That way you can differentiate, because every supplier operates differently, and you want to know how you want to operate, not how they want you to operate, okay? So when you're going right into negotiating with these suppliers and these manufacturers, you can tell them right away, this is how I want to ship, all right? This is the process we want to do, because what will happen is you'll spend all this time negotiating with the manufacturer, and then when it comes time for you to say, okay, let's pull the trigger, let's give it the green light, they hit you with the EXW. And then you're like, oh crap, no, I need this shipped to Amazon. And then what happens? When you divert to a different shipping method, they're going to jack the prices up. Now, you done pulled metrics to match this. Everything's making sense at that price point, but now the price point is going to change. You're going to have to contact a freight forwarder, and there's multiple variables. So the more you know going in pre-negotiation with a manufacturer, the better it is going to be for you. Knowing how to utilize 1688 to find the direct manufacturer and show them that hey, this is the prices in China. I'm not paying much over this. Knowing all of the different aspects and parts of logistics, shipping, and importing, letting them know, hey, this is how I want. I don't want to go the EXW route. This is what I want to do. I want it sent directly to the fulfillment center. I'm going to be sending you a PDF. You're going to print the PDF, put these on my products. Or unless your products already have the SKU printed on them, whichever route you go, by you letting the manufacturer know and state everything in that template, they know that you are serious, that you are a real company, and that you're head of the purchasing department, which is what I recommend staying. Don't say, hey, I'm Joe Blow, I want to buy this, what's the best price? No, you're a real business. You're trying to create a real business, so act like a real business. Say, hey, my name is Joshua Crisp. I'm lead in the purchasing department for Crisp Enterprises. I specialize in this niche, and I'm looking to build a mutually beneficial business relationship between myself as well as your company. So you want to hit them professionally. You want to let them know all your terms. You want to let them know that you're going to have an inspection company come post-shipment before the 70% funds are released. You want to let them know, everything, that you're on top of your game. You want to let them know that you're going to be sending everything through a credit card with your protection. That way, you have multiple layers of security to protect your finances. All right, as well as the quality of your product and all that good stuff. All right. So sorry, I kind of went on a rant, but this is super serious. This part is super serious, and this part a lot of people get confused and they start to stress out about. So make sure that you read all these different definitions and truly resonate and understand the differences. All right. Next, we have FOB. FOB stands for free freight on board. Either or, it has the same definition. So you might say, it might be free on board, free freight on board. However it is, it has the same definition. Okay. FOB means FOB. This means that the buyers and sellers attach FOB to the beginning of a location to show the point at which freight changes hands from seller to buyer. All right. Next is MOQ. This is obvious, but I wanted to put it in here because this kind of ties in with the logistics and the order process. MOQ stands for minimum order quantity. 9 times out of 10, a manufacturer is going to have an MOQ for different price tiers or price structures. So you want to make sure that you understand what MOQ is, minimum order quantity. You find out what the minimum order quantity. Now this is a ninja tip that I'll throw in there. Especially if your product is a higher price point or they want to jump it up a higher price point to private label your product. White label that product and get the lowest MOQ with the highest price break. Okay? Don't let them lie to you because they will lie to you. It's all about numbers. Nothing in international business has to do with emotion. They operate solely off of percentages, dividends, and commissions. Once you understand that, you're going to operate at a better success rate. You are going to be able to close deals like a pro, and you are going to just go in for the kill and get the best rates possible. So you truly have to understand that there's no emotion involved with international sales. It's strictly dividends, percentages, and commissions. All right? So when you're starting out, especially if it's a somewhat saturated or maybe it's a semi-seasonal item, if they're trying to jack the rates up, because when you private label a product, that's multiple steps in their manufacturing process, whether they have to, fabricate a mold or create a new injection mold, or they have to create boxing or packaging solutions. And if it's not the direct manufacturer and you're dealing with the distributor, they have to send it to somebody else. They're not going to tell you this, but they're not doing all this in-house. So the more touches, the more people need to make money, the more people need to eat, the more they have to charge you, the less your margin, the less your ROI is going to be. So until you gain barrier of entry and proof of concept and become profitable, deeply contemplate going with a white label strategy and do your brand recognition, build your brand through your listing, okay? Your tags, your description, your pictures, all right? And you could always go a sticker route. You could always have stickers made and sent to that manufacturer for a fraction of an injection cost or a fraction of a special packaging solution. So think about that, and that's why there's different MOQs, all right? So for white label products, if they specialize in that niche and they're already manufacturing these products, if you're not going crazy and asking for special variations, they have that shit sitting in inventory. If they are the man, if they're not some little company, and remember how I showed you guys to see if they're not some little company, if they're the man, look up on Alibaba, the right tab, look up their business credentials. It's going to show you the amount of annual revenue as well as the amount of employees. If they have under 10 employees and under 5 million in gross revenue, they are not the man. They're contacting the man and making a commission. All right? So I'm trying to stay punctual and keep moving forward, but I just try to hit on that stuff so you guys understand. But I've got another video on YouTube labeled How to Find the Best Manufacturer. If you guys have not watched that video, watch that video, and it talks about all that different stuff I was just hitting on. It iterates on all that stuff in great detail. Next, we have EXW, an international trade term that describes an agreement in which the seller is required to make goods ready for pickup at his or her own place of business. All other transportation costs, risk are assumed by the buyer. Now, that's why I say really read and understand and resonate with the differences, because 9 times out of 10, they are going to try to stick you with EXW. And if you want to go another route, there is going to be an increase in prices. So I talk about this in the course. I'm sure you can find it somewhere else on YouTube. But you want to go with a freight forwarder like Freightos. Maybe they offer DHL Express. You want to go that route, especially your first time. This is going to make life a lot easier for you paying a little bit more. Later on in the game, once you have an annual calendar worth of sales history, then you can start going other routes like shipping via sea, etc., to save on cost. But the last thing you want to do when you're starting out, especially when you start to spike the A9 algorithm and gain sales, is run out of inventory. If you're in a popular niche or a niche where there's people flooding in, which if the margin's great, trust me, there is people trying to get in that niche. What happens is when you run out of inventory, you're dropping and you're dropping and you're dropping and you're dropping in the BSR. Not only are you losing sales, every hour, there's 24 ticks in a day. That's why BSR uploads and changes every tick or every hour. Okay, every hour that goes by, you're losing money, you're losing sales, and you're losing rank. And the longer you're out of inventory, the harder it is to climb back up in the organic search results and gain your BSR ranking back. All right, so listen to me, that's super important. Last but not least on the list for logistics and shipping, we have NVOCC. A lot of suppliers, a lot of manufacturers, a lot of sellers refer to this as a freight forwarder. Sometimes you'll see the Chinese supplier manufacturer will call this NVOCC, okay, which means freight forwarder. This is a non-vessel operating common carrier, a person or company that organizes shipments for individuals or corporations to get goods from the manufacturer to a market, customer, or final destination. All right, so this is going to take it from A to B, right through customs, deal with customs, take it right from A to B. So this, in shipping and logistics, this is the most commonly used acronyms. These are the different shipping methods that the manufacturers and the suppliers deal with. So I hope you guys, I know there was a lot to take in. I hope you guys found this video valuable. Feel free to rewind to what parts you need, pause it, screenshot it, keep this on your phone. That way whenever you're talking to a supplier, you can say, oh crap, Josh talked about this. Pop up the photo and read the definition. That way, it'll help you guys. You guys have a little bit of a cheat sheet and read it and read it and read it and resonate with it. That way it sticks in your mind. If they say EXW, okay, you know exactly what EXW is. If you tell them FOB, you know what FOB is. If they tell you they have an MOQ of this, you know, okay, this is what an MOQ is. If they're talking about different terminologies, or you're seeing different terminologies throughout the dashboard, you can pull this cheat sheet up and you'll know exactly what it is. So screenshot it, keep it, reread it, resonate with it. If this is your first time watching any of my videos or first time to the channel, please subscribe, leave a comment, click the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you're notified of each and every video that I make. I try to drop new videos with pure content daily. No fluff, no sales, just pure valuable content that will help you guys become financially free, location independent. That way you can live the life you truly deserve. We'll talk to you guys next time.